New scans inside the Great Pyramid of Giza have found empty spaces that were not on any map, rooms nobody built a door for, passages that lead nowhere anyone can reach. For a long time, the story of the ancient world felt settled. Simple tools, ramps, rope, thousands of workers pulling stone with their bare hands. That was the answer, and the textbooks moved on. But there are places on Earth that do not fit that answer. Stones too heavy, cuts too clean, cities too deep, work done so well that modern engineers standing at the same spot with cranes and lasers have quietly admitted they are not sure how it was done. So what did they build and how? Stay with me, because once these 8 places line up next to each other, a pattern shows up that is hard to ignore. We start in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the city on the water. Off the eastern coast of Micronesia, past the reef, there is a place local sailors avoid at night. It is called Nan Madol. From the air, it looks like a maze of stone boxes sitting on the sea. Nearly 100 small islands, all of them man-made. People call it the Venice of the Pacific because canals run between the islands like streets. Boats moved through them once. Now the water is still, and the walls are covered in green. Here is the part that stops engineers cold. The walls are not made of bricks or mud. They are made of basalt, long 6-sided columns of volcanic rock stacked like giant logs. Some of these single columns weigh more than 50 tons. The walls rise over 25 feet in some spots, 50 tons, on a coral reef in the middle of the ocean. There is no quarry on the island where the city sits. The basalt came from somewhere else across open water, and nobody has found the boats, the rafts, or the machines that could have carried a 50-ton stone log across the sea and set it down with care. The people who built it were the Saudeleurs, a ruling family that held power here for centuries. This was their ceremonial center, their seat of rule. The local stories do not talk about ships or ramps. They talk about 2 brothers who made the stones fly through the air with a spell. That is the legend. The stone is real. It sits there right now, heavier than any crane the builders could have owned, stacked into walls that have stood against Pacific storms for 1,000 years. How the basalt crossed the water is still an open question, and it is only the first one, the city under the ground. Now leave the ocean and go inland. Central Turkey, a region called Cappadocia, where the rock is soft and pale and shaped like melted wax. In 1963, a man in the town of Derinkuyu was fixing his house. He knocked down a wall in his basement. Behind it was not dirt, it was a dark room, and behind that room, a passage, and behind the passage, a stairway going down into the earth. He had opened the top of a city carved straight down into the rock, more than 280 feet deep, level after level after level. This is the largest underground city ever found. Experts estimate it could hold up to 20,000 people. Not for a night, for months. It has kitchens with soot still on the ceilings, it has stables for animals, it has wells for fresh water, storage rooms for food, and even a room believed to be a school. Think about what that means. To hide 20,000 people below ground, the air has to keep moving or everyone suffocates. So the builders cut more than 15,000 ventilation shafts through the stone. Air flows down to the deepest level and back up on its own, with no fans and no power. And there are the doors, round stone doors, each weighing hundreds of pounds, cut to roll across a passage and seal it shut. They can only be moved from the inside. Whatever the people down there were hiding from, they wanted to lock it out and keep the exits in their own hands. Nobody knows for certain when the first tunnels were cut. Some of it may be over 2,800 years old. Nobody knows exactly who started it. The town on the surface forgot the city was even there for generations until one man swung a hammer at the wrong wall. 280 feet of hand-carved rooms, sealed and forgotten. And below Derinkuyu, there are still levels that have not been fully mapped. The stones that were cut by no known tool. Bolivia. High in the Andes, near Lake Titicaca, almost 13,000 feet above the sea. The air is thin. It is hard to walk here, let alone build. This is Pumapunku, made by the Tiwanaku people more than 1,000 years ago. Most ancient sites impress with size. Pumapunku impresses with precision. The stones here have flat faces so smooth they look poured, not carved. There are long, straight grooves cut into the rock, each groove the same width the whole way, with tiny drill holes spaced along them at even distances. The corners meet at clean right angles. The famous H-blocks, shaped like a capital letter H, are cut so alike that they could be swapped for one another and still fit. Cutting like this, in stone this hard, is difficult with modern power tools. The Tiwanaku had no iron, no steel, and they were working with andesite and granite, some of the hardest rock on the planet. Then there is the weight. Some blocks here weigh more than 130 tons. The nearest quarry that matches the stone is more than 10 miles away, across broken mountain ground. No wheel, no horse, no road. And yet the stone is here, dressed and finished, as if the distance meant nothing. There is one more detail people rarely mention. Some visitors and researchers have reported magnetic readings at Pumapunku that do not behave the way plain rock should. Compasses acting strange. The reason has not been fully explained. So who cut stone like a machine 1,000 years ago at the roof of the world? Stay with me, because the next builders did not stack stone at all. They went the other way. The temple carved from the top down. Western India. A cliff of solid basalt, and sitting inside that cliff, not built on top of it, is the Kailasa temple. Every building in the world starts at the bottom. You lay a foundation, you stack walls, you add a roof last. Kailasa broke that rule completely. The workers started at the top of the mountain and carved downward. They cut away the rock around the temple and left the temple standing in the empty space they created. There was no adding, only removing. Every column, every statue, every staircase, every carved elephant along the base, all of it was released from a single continuous piece of stone. There are no joints, no blocks fitted together. It is one rock hollowed and shaped into a full temple with courtyards, shrines, and a tower. To make it, the workers removed an estimated 200,000 tons of rock, and here is the part that makes stonemasons shake their heads. Records suggest it was finished in under 20 years. Do the math on that. Removing 200,000 tons of hard volcanic rock by hand in 20 years means cutting and hauling out tons of stone every single day without pause and without a single major mistake. Because there is no fixing a mistake when you carve downward. Cut too deep and there is no putting the rock back. One wrong strike and the whole temple is ruined. There are no notes, no blueprints found, no record of the plan that let them see the finished temple inside the mountain before they had removed a single ton. They carved straight to it, as if they already knew exactly where every wall would land. The stones that break the rules of weight. Lebanon, a temple complex called Baalbek. The Romans built grand temples here, and that part is well understood. Columns, marble, the usual scale of empire. But under the Roman work sits an older platform, and in that platform are three stones that do not make sense. They are called the trilithon. 3 blocks laid side by side, each one roughly 800 tons. 800 tons is heavier than a fully loaded jumbo jet. And these are not lying flat on the ground. They were lifted and set into a wall above the base, fitted so tightly against each other that a knife blade will not go between them. There is no crane today standing at that site that could lift a single one of those stones and place it that precisely. The largest land cranes on Earth strain at that weight on flat prepared ground. These were set on a hillside thousands of years ago, level to the millimeter. And the trilithon is not even the biggest stone at Baalbek. Go to the old quarry nearby. There, half buried in the earth, lie stones that were cut but never moved. One weighs about 1,200 tons. Another, found later, is estimated at around 1,650 tons. 1,650 tons, cut clean out of the bedrock, shaped on all sides, left sitting there, as if the builders fully expected to pick it up and carry it to the temple like the others. Who cuts a 1,650-ton stone and plans to move it? What were they going to move it with? The quarry gives no answer. The stone is just lying there, waiting, the way it has been for thousands of years. Machu Picchu and the parts nobody sees. Peru, nearly 8,000 feet up in the Andes, on a ridge between two peaks, sits a city of grey stone that the world barely knew about until 1911. That year, American historian Hiram Bingham followed a local guide up the mountain and reached the ruins. Photographs went around the world. Machu Picchu became famous overnight. Most people picture the postcard, the terraces, the peak behind the temples. But the real feat at Machu Picchu is the stonework and where it hides. Look closely at the walls. The stones are cut so precisely that they fit together with no mortar, no cement between them. Each block is shaped to lock into the ones around it, some with faces angled and grooved so they hold like puzzle pieces. Try to slide a sheet of paper into the seam, and it will not fit. This was not just for looks. This region shakes. Earthquakes are common in the Andes. A normal mortar wall cracks and falls in a strong quake. But these mortarless walls are built to move. When the ground shakes, the stones shift, bounce, and settle right back into place. The city has ridden out centuries of earthquakes and is still standing. And here is the part almost nobody talks about. What is visible on the ridge is only part of the work. Studies suggest that about 60% of Machu Picchu is underground. Deep foundations, layers of crushed rock for drainage, a hidden water system that carries clean spring water through the city and channels the heavy mountain rain away so the ridge does not slide out from under the buildings. The builders spent more effort on the parts you cannot see than on the parts you can. They knew that a beautiful city on a mountain ridge means nothing if the ground beneath it washes away. So they hid the real engineering underground, where it has quietly held the city up for 500 years. The pyramid that hides its own rooms, Egypt, the Giza Plateau, the Great Pyramid, the most studied ancient building on Earth, and still the one with the most unanswered questions. Start with age and size. It is about 4,500 years old. It held the record as the tallest structure on the planet for nearly 4,000 years. Nothing humans built beat its height until the modern age. Let that number sit. For 4,000 years, no one built taller. It is made of roughly 2.3 million stone blocks. The lighter ones weigh 2 tons, the heavier ones up to 80 tons. Stack 2.3 million blocks with an average toddler could not lift, into a shape that has stayed near perfect for 4,500 years. Now the precision. The Great Pyramid is lined up with true north almost exactly. The deviation is a tiny fraction of a single degree. Modern builders, using satellites and compasses, would be proud to match that. The Egyptians did it with no such tools, on a base that covers more than 13 acres, and they got it nearly perfect on every side. Inside, above the king's chamber, sit granite beams weighing dozens of tons each. Granite is much harder than the limestone that makes up most of the pyramid. That granite was quarried far to the south and hauled all the way to Giza, then lifted high inside the structure and set in place above the main room. Nobody has fully explained how they raised stones that heavy that high. And the pyramid is still giving up secrets. In recent years, scientists have used a scanning method that tracks tiny particles from space as they pass through solid rock, mapping empty spaces inside without drilling a single hole. They found voids, large empty spaces that no known passage reaches. One is big enough to hold an airplane. Nobody knows what those spaces are for. There are no doors to them, no stairs, no record. They have been sealed inside the stone for 4,500 years, and the scanners can see them, but no one has reached them. Which brings us to the last place, and of all 8, this is the one that is still full of people every single day. The churches pulled out of the ground, Ethiopia, the town of Lalibela. Roughly 900 years ago in the highlands, workers set out to build churches, but they did not stack stone And they did not carve into a cliff face. They cut straight down into the flat volcanic rock of the ground itself. There are 11 of these churches. Each one was freed from the bedrock the way Kailasa was, by removing everything that was not the church. The workers dug down, cut away the rock around a block, then hollowed that block into a church with a roof, walls, windows, pillars, and doorways. All of it one continuous piece of stone. No bricks, no mortar, no seams. The most famous is called Bet Georgis, the Church of St. George. It sits at the bottom of a deep pit, cut in the shape of a cross when seen from above. The pit is nearly 40 feet deep. The church rises inside it, a clean cross-shaped tower of red rock, standing free on all sides, carved from the top down without a single wall added. To reach it, you walk down into the earth through narrow trenches and tunnels cut in the stone. Some passages are dark. Some connect one church to the next underground. And here is what sets Lalibela apart from every other place on this list. Nan Madol is empty. Pumapunku is ruins. The pyramid is a tomb. But Lalibela is alive. People still walk down into these rock churches to pray, wrapped in white cloth, the way people have for 900 years without a break. Priests still hold services in rooms carved out of the ground by hands that left no plans behind. The local story is short. It says angels came at night and did the work the builders could not finish by day. That is the legend. The rock is real. And it was cut with astonishing care, and no one has fully explained how 11 churches were pulled whole out of the ground with the tools of that time. 8 places. Now look at them side by side. A 50-ton stone log carried across the open ocean. A city carved 280 feet straight down for 20,000 people. Blocks cut like machine parts 1,000 years ago at 13,000 feet. A temple hollowed out of one mountain from the top down. An 800-ton stone lifted and set to the millimeter, with a 1,650-ton stone still waiting in the quarry. A city that survives earthquakes on a system hidden underground. A pyramid with sealed rooms nobody built a way into. And churches pulled whole from the ground, still full of prayer after 9 centuries. These places are scattered across the world. Different oceans, different centuries, different peoples who never met and never traded and never shared a single tool. And yet the same shape keeps coming back. Stone moved that should not have been movable. Cuts too clean for the tools we say they had. Engineering that modern cruise, standing right there. Admit they could not easily repeat. The comfortable story says human skill only goes up in a straight line, from simple to advanced. Each age smarter than the last. But these 8 places do not sit neatly on that line. They suggest something less tidy. That knowledge can be found, used to do the near impossible, and then lost. That a people can learn to move a 1,650-ton stone, build the thing they needed, and then vanish so completely that we find their work and cannot even guess at the method. Maybe the past was not a slow climb. Maybe it rose and fell. Maybe skills we think are brand new were held once before, in hands that left no manuals, only the stone. So here is what I want to know. When you look at all 8 together, which explanation feels true to you? Do you think these were built with clever, patient methods we simply have not rediscovered yet? Ordinary people doing extraordinary things with rope and ramp and time? Or do you think some of this was made with knowledge that was gained, used, and then completely lost to us? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and the sharpest ideas on this channel almost always come from the people watching, not from me. And if you want to be here when the scanners finally reach one of those sealed voids inside the Great Pyramid, stay close, because that door has not opened yet. The empty rooms are still up there in the dark, and whatever is inside them has been waiting for 4,500 years for someone to find a way in.